Record to the cloud. Well, welcome everybody. It is Sunday, what is it? Tuesday the 11th. Like I said, we got some requests in the group and some private messages in terms of the flip-flop method. So if you guys don't have any pairs you want me to check out first, or look over a loss, or look over something you want me to look at, then we're going to go over this. So if you have a question or a pair you want to look at, say so now. Anybody?
I actually do.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm sorry for the noise in the background. I got a lot of kids running around.
Okay.
But I want to look at CAD JPY on the 1 hour.
Okay, with what strategy?
It was the Stairmaster.
Are you trying to buy or sell?
Well, actually, I got stopped out. I bought it earlier in the day, and I set my resistance right there. Not the last set of green arrows, but the one before those. And I know it was pretty tight. I know the rule says you're supposed to put your stop loss on the step before that one. But yeah, I was just wondering why it went against my calculations.
Okay, so you tried to buy it like somewhere in here?
Yes. Yes, actually, it was pretty. It was right at the top, actually, right there. Actually, let me get the exact price for you. 1 second. Sorry. Okay, I bought it at 82.036.
You bought it at the very top.
I told you before last week. I got the ability to buy it right at the top and right at the bottom every time.
Okay, yeah, you totally bought it at the top. Okay, so if we draw a line somewhere in this very tip top, because you must like barely caught that wick, okay? That's what I'm guessing. Again, I can't be sure. I don't know what indicators are on your charts, but I can tell you that we see a lot of wicks. So we see a doji, another wick, and another wick. So even if you got in on this other one, so like let's say you got in here, because you would have had to get in one of these two tall wicks, because that's the only place that price would have been that high, because you still have a spread too. So you literally got in on the top of one of these two wicks.
Yeah, that's about right.
So what did you see? Like, did you see that your ADX was not yet crossing? What indicators are on your chart?
Well, I have the ADX and the RSI and the auto trend forecaster, and all those were showing buy signs on the 1 hour and on the 4 hour. So that's why I entered the trade. I figured it was pretty safe.
What time was that? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I know the time's kind of messed up on the MT4, but
Okay.
it says 15:45.
Yep, so you got in right in these. Okay, so 15:45 is what time for like regular trading? Because you got to think, this wasn't like that perfect time to enter, which is, you know, the hour or so after London gets done playing, or New York. So this was like, Canada obviously got super weak today. So I was selling a lot of the Canadian pairs personally. But here's the thing, it doesn't, something that maybe you can add to your arsenal of, okay, how do I know when to get in? So again, that whole concept of drawing a trend line, okay? And this is a really awful one, so bear with me, but you know the concept. The whole idea is you can get on any of these stairs, and that's a little bit crappy kind of steps. I see that, I know, I'm sorry. But every one of these pullbacks, they're flags, I mean, whatever you want to call them. So you'd want to wait till it broke the flag. So we don't want to get in right here. We wouldn't get in until it came back and retouched the trend line. So if you're going to continue to buy the trend, which is a safe move, it's like if you were to buy this piece, okay? So if it's like right here, you're still going to wait till it comes back. So let's assume like you saw this move right here, and you're like, okay, everything's lining up, everything looks good on my charts, blah, blah, blah. You still want to wait for the pullback, okay? Which this didn't make a great pullback. Well, I guess it kind of did, but same concept. But because this gapped up, I mean, that kind of says a lot about market structure. But now again, we have another pullback. So if it's going to continue to go up, we don't know for sure, because now it's below the 50, because it finally did break below the 50 with a strong momentum move. But maybe that's just, all we can do is just add tools to our arsenal of how we see the charts. So if I were to tell you something of how to analyze this trade better, the first two things I would tell you that you can improve moving forward is check a currency strength meter, okay? And that will tell you a whole bunch. There's many, many free ones. Actually, I just found another one that I really, really like. It was sent to me by a good friend, and I think it's one of my favorite ones so far. That and draw a trend line, because you don't ever want to buy. So if you're going to buy this, that's great, but buy it when it pulls back. You'd buy the pullback, because even if you see this move right here, you don't buy until it pulls back to the 50 or until it pulls back and creates a new set of dots. But the dots were created down here. So the dots were created, it broke the 50, it had a crossover. I mean, it had the money tree string line. Let me zoom back in for you. Whoopsie. If it will let me. With all this lagging, let's see. So you have an impulse move, which is exactly what we want. But from the time that would have been a good entry, so yellow arrow, money tree string line, 4-hour support and resistance, the original crossover of the ADX, broke the zero on the MACD. So from this point, okay, it already moved, and this isn't a fast moving pair, but 26 pips. So this already moved half of the average daily range. You're going to want to wait. And if you use the average daily range to see how much a move was made, you'll know, okay, wait, I need to wait for a pullback. So it could potentially continue going up, or it might be reversing now. We don't know for sure because we've got daily dots up here. And of course, our ADX is trying to point up with our seller's line. This looks like it might be crossing. We'll see. But it's got some downward momentum, but we've got a money tree string line. So do those tips maybe help you see it a little different? Because if you got in here, it already made the bulk of the move, especially if we measure the whole move.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I think I am struggling with the pullback. It's like I see everything set up, and then I just want to hurry up and jump in it before I miss a bigger move. But like I said last week, I always get in right when it pulls back. So maybe I do need to really pay more attention to that.
Then create a rule for yourself. And that's why we said, like, when we create rules, they should be pertinent, I don't know, exclusive to you for your strengths and weaknesses. So like if you want to hurry up and get in, this is when you hurry up and get in. It broke the 50, like you can set alerts for this to where it breaks the 50 on the 1 hour. You have enough confirmations, right? You have triple arrows saying it was a buy or is in direction with the buy. It kind of retested, played around, and then it had a strong break. So even if you got in before this candle, you had a yellow arrow, money tree string line turned, everything else was lining up. So you had enough confirmation, depending on what indicators you use. You would have gotten in prior to this big candle, which in itself is 12 pips on a slow mover. And again, you would have caught half of the average daily range. This is the fast move. This is the, hey, it already made its move. Now I want to get in.
I see. Thank you. I really appreciate you breaking that down for me.
I hope it helps.
It does a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other pairs you guys want me to look at real quick? Of course, I don't have my Zoom on here today. It's kind of funny how it never is consistent. Let me check it's hot in Alabama, huh? How hot is it in Alabama, Randy? Because it's not that hot here. We had our heat on. It's crazy. Very crazy.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, Curtis, how's it going?
All right. Can you look at OddCAD for me?
OddCAD has new daily dots. What are you trying to do with it?
I'm liking that one.
For what, the buy or sell?
Oh, buy.
Okay, I love it for the buy.
Yeah, me too. Cool.
I'm in
I
this
just
trade.
wanted to see what you think. That's all.
I'm in this trade already.
And it's hot over here in Louisiana too, by the way.
And that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. See?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you looked at this trade, what did you see? What time frame were you looking at?
Oh, I like the W actually. I'm a double bottom type of guy, I guess. The double bottom and the Stairmaster right there. you already had the triple arrows on the 4 hour, and you wait for it to come back down for the Stairmaster. And I've noticed lately studying the Easy Forex that this is a really good setup because it stops before that point right there, and it does it a lot. I was surprised by that, by the way. It stops right before it. You know why they stop there? Is because there's so much money below that line that they will not break it. And once you find spots like that, you've got buys. I mean, or sells, you know. But that's a really good setup I've noticed with it. And I like 1 hour. I talked to you about that. The 1 hour triple arrow is good. I like the 4 hour the best. I'm looking for those type of trades because I'm at work all the time, so I don't really have time. I'm just trying to catch the market at a midweek reversal or wherever I can, you know, to get in there. And that's a good spot. I think we got quite a lot of pips I might make off that. I'm not sure. We'll see.
I like the big momentum. So what I like about this is, I mean, obviously odd had a nosedive, so it has to strengthen out a little bit to some extent. I mean, by how much, we don't know.
Right there. It's going to pass it. It's bouncing, but even if it don't, you know, it's not a big deal because I don't think it'll really test that bottom line again. I think it's ready to roll up.
I do too. So when I got in at the fresh ADX cross on the 1 hour, so in and around here.
Oh, you're in it too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, I like this pair. Like, I think Pat went over it this morning too, in class.
I've never traded OddCat, I don't think. I just seen the setup, so.
It's a slow mover, but since I trade New York, the Canadian dollar is something I try to put some emphasis on. Although I know it's a slower mover, but it's also a more steady mover, so it's not so, you know, it doesn't have like some 100 pip wick out of nowhere.
You look at one more for me, UJ, and I'll be done.
Okay.
I'm in a couple buys on UJ, and I think it's going to keep on going. I want to know what you think.
I'm not buying UJ right now.
Really? Think it's going to turn around?
No. Well, you do have a 1 hour arrow saying it's trying to turn around. And look, it broke above the 50, but it's not like, notice how this is like it broke and then it made its move, right? Like this is really playing around and then had a huge momentum. Huge momentum candle down. This is probably a broker exclusive gap. I don't think it's an actual gap. But again, came back, couldn't really break it, came back. So now, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I see exactly.
So I'm going to hang on to it, but it wouldn't be a good place to buy right now. But like I bought Friday. I got in it Friday when it did that huge, went straight back down, and I thought Stairmaster, and it broke that resistance line, but didn't break the lower 4 hour one, and I got in. So it's doing well right now.
If this turns around, if this starts to show a buy, or this starts to show a buy, okay, so like we would need the momentum line to face up immediately and the buyer's line to face up immediately, which is possible because the US dollar is trying to gain strength, but that was this candle here was the dollar trying to gain strength. And yeah, but the dollar's been going down, yeah, so I'm buying most things against the dollar. So, but actually this would be a great entry because your risk would be tiny. Or just here's the deal, if it breaks this point, if it breaks this resistance, you're looking for sells.
I got you.
Because it's making lower lows, right? That's all. So if it breaks this point, I would personally, depending on how far upside down you are, I mean, if you're holding this as a swing trade, I mean, you can keep it.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I'm trying to swing trade with Super Easy. I'm working on that. Haven't been good with it. I usually do just 15-minute charts most of the time in London and New York only, like little 30 pip trades. I'm trying to get past that, move on, you know.
You know, you can make like 6 figures with 30 pips, okay?
Yeah.
Seriously?
I know. Not yet.
30 pips consistently if you're compounding. But that's the problem is people, like, they take 3 losses in the middle of the week. So instead of continuing their plan, you know, and continuing something for 30 days, for 60 days, they go back to 0.01s and they're just playing around. They're taking a multitude of trades and they're just playing. Like, but if you stick with your plan for a good 30, 60 days, continue to compound it, you'll turn a $100 account into at least 5 figures.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But here you got daily dots. So
work, so I'm trying to change my whole routine, I guess. I work a lot of overtime, so right now I can't. I'm trying to learn the swing, I guess.
You see how there's daily dots on the day one? So we
Yeah,
just got a
it
daily
might
dot.
go back down there, huh? It might.
So this might be that perfect double bottom that you're looking for.
What I noticed too, though, it plays with the 50. It has to deal with the 50 when it does a big swing up or down. It always likes to play around on that 50 and go right back down. I don't know if you've noticed that. I don't know, a lot of times.
I don't know. I don't trade this pair too much. I think it has a lot of weird movement and not enough gain, like in general. So there's some pairs that are slow movers, but this one like moves choppy. It moves different. So I don't usually like. I'm not looking for trades on UJ all the time. I will take almost any other USD pair.
Yeah, it's hard.
Just because of the way it moves. So like it drops and then it makes this. Go look at other pairs. You're not going to see so many steps as you do on this pair.
They use UJ to run all the rest of the J pairs. Everybody.
Exactly.
Especially GJ. EJ is not so much. GJ is the best one for, the JPY. I don't know.
I like Euro JPY.
Yeah, I do too. It's slower than GJ. It's nice.
Yes, sir. But be careful on this one. At least have a tight stop loss. And if you want a little bit more room, you can put it here. But that's just, well, this isn't a lot of pips though, because this is UJ. So that's only 10, 11 pip difference. So
I've only got like little 0-1 point positions right now. I'm still studying the method that y'all use, and so I'm just got a little practice count with 0-1. That's all I really do, and I got a couple $100 in it. So if it loses, it loses. I don't really care.
you know what you can do with couple $100? Like if you start compounding that, so your first trade's like a 0.0 whatever, your next trade's a 0.0 whatever, you can turn a couple $100 into a lot. Like a couple $100 is a lot of money. You know how to use it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There's no doubt about that. That's what we're here for.
Yes, sir. Awesome.
I appreciate you, Jenny. Thank you for answering my questions very thoroughly, by the way.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other pairs you guys want me to take a look at? I'm in
USD.
Yeah, I just clicked on that before you even said it. Who said that?
This is Anil.
Yep. Right there. What are you trying to do? On what time frame? On what method?
Well, 1 hour, 4 hours. I was thinking of selling it, but looks like it may go and hit that weekly support or daily support it has.
You're selling it?
Yeah.
The euro is getting strong. So what indicators do you have on your chart?
I have the usual three.
3 arrows?
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
Actually, I have CCI.
Okay, so is CCI telling me to buy or sell?
Well, right now I'm looking at it earlier. Actually, I already took the position. We were talking about it in the morning, and it seemed like it already has a triple arrow earlier. So it's going and retesting that support.
So were you in profit already once?
Just for a few pips. I took this position in the morning. So it was a little bit profitable, and then right now it's a little bit negative. I just took it somewhere around towards, in the morning time. Maybe whatever.
Well, right now, everything on my screen is saying this is still buying.
Yeah, right now it looks like it's going to go and test that support.
Mm-hmm.
Daily support.
How big is your stop loss?
Stop loss is above that support. It's about, I think it's worth $17, so I don't know how many pips it is. That's all I remember. It's like with the arrow, the big arrow.
Yep.
Yeah, in line with that.
Not bad. Yeah, I mean, like the other gentleman was saying, this could create a double top. But there's a lot of Euro and USD news coming out. There's a lot of USD news. So tomorrow is crude oil, which will affect Canada. Not so much the US dollar, but enough. There's enough news tomorrow to kind of make it shake for sure. So worst case, what's going to happen is it's going to come up here. It's going to play around for a while. It'll drop and news will send it soaring, or it'll kind of stagnate and news will send it dropping. One or the other.
Yeah, it's like a $17 top line.
Is it on your live account?
Yeah.
Okay, so just a tip, like, again, all I can do is give you guys tips to how to become a better trader. And at the end of the day, you guys have to decide which ones will work for you. So if you got in, again, give or take somewhere around here, and you had checked the 1 hour chart,
Right.
this would have told you this wasn't ready yet.
That is true.
So if you, even if you're entering on a now and later, check the 1 hour chart. And again, if you guys need to keep it super simple, wait for it to break the 50. And as you guys can see, that's not a foolproof plan, but it's enough of a plan that your accuracy is going to be high 70s, high 80s.
Right.
If you just wait for that break of the 50. Nothing is foolproof, but it's enough to make a measurable difference in your trading, because all this is numbers. And again, if we just drew a trend line on the 1 hour chart, we can sell when it breaks that. But until it breaks that, it could just be a pullback. Because again, what would happen is if it comes down to this trend line and plays around, we know it's going to keep buying. So you would buy at the touch of this trend line. You'd buy. So if it comes and re-breaks it, that's when you know, okay, this is an actual signal. So it doesn't matter who gives you the signal. If it's me, if it's the guy next door, if it's Pat, make yourself a set of rules that say, hey, I'm not going to take this without it meeting my qualifications. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes, it helps. And actually, it would be very nice. I thought we were waiting for your rules. Your bread and butter trade and how you do it on the swing trade.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you're one of the people who sent me a message. Let's see. I don't know why my thingy isn't working on there, but my Zoom bars aren't on my VPS today. So here's the deal. We made a call going over the rules, and we made it kind of broad, but very, very, very effective.
Yeah, I saw that all the rules.
Yes. So here's the thing, guys, when you're looking for a video or an article or publication of any kind, it's your best bet is to go to the notification channel and do your due diligence. Because now we're at the point where we're reposting so many different versions of things that it's not even like the actual version anymore. So like, for instance, the super easy compound sheet isn't coming up. It's not formatted the same. So if you guys are looking for something, please go to that notification group and get the original copy. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but actually I would like to know exactly what you do for a swing trade. Your real steps. When how you enter, how you wait for it.
Okay, do you have a pen and paper?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I do on the swing trades. Give or take my schedule. I check somewhere in between Sunday evening and Monday evening. I drag and drop all the pairs. So I literally do what Pat does, which I drag a pair, put it on the chart. If I like what I see, or here, let me do this. Let's get the actual one on here. Close enough.
Follow one, let's say we take one example and you follow the whole.
Okay. Well, here, ready? So hear me out here. I have a certain number of qualifications that I'm looking for. I have a certain number of confirmations that I'm looking for. So what I do is I drag and drop every trade. I only stay away from a few pairs. I don't like odd NZD because of the way it moves together, like the way that their currency moves together. So I just don't like it. But I drag and drop every pair on the screen. When I see triple arrows, okay, and I usually have my dashboard on here. I think I messed it up because I was trying to show you guys something. Probably did. But I have my dashboard on here too. So I drag and drop it onto the 4 hour chart, okay? So write that down.
Okay.
If I see even a single arrow on the 4 hour chart, as in with no other confirmations, only the arrow, then I'm willing to drop down to the 1 hour time frame, okay? And see how many confirmations I have, right? Depending on what tools I have on that chart. So there's a lot of possibility. Everybody uses different things. The more confirmations you can get, the better, right? If this is a trade that looks like it's setting up, I write it down. I write down odd CAD, 1 hour and 4 hour, or like for instance, if the 1 hour, 4 hour, and 30 minute are all saying buy, I'll write that down. I'll write down the current price. Okay. and then I'll write down how big the stop loss would be to the edge of the big arrow.
Right. On
Okay.
1 hour.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. This is just the triple arrow system. So this isn't, I messed up my chart, sorry guys, but okay, from there, now I've got a list of anywhere from, I think the smallest number I've had is 9 to 15 trades. Okay. So now I've got 9 to 15 trades to choose from. I usually don't enter those trades until about approximately Monday evening my time. Sometimes I'll get in a little early. I'm not going to fib, but I am going to. So basically, Monday evening U.S. time is essentially Tuesday morning Forex time, right?
Yeah.
So that's when I'm usually entering my trades, or at least I'm willing to enter them if everything is lined up.
Usually the Asian session.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
That would be the Asian session on Monday.
Yeah, so like if nothing is setting up, like I don't like the way it looks, then I'll wait to enter the trades until Tuesday morning, or I'll kind of keep an eye on that whole watch list all week long.
Okay.
So sometimes like there'll be a big red folder news, so I don't want to touch that pair yet.
Right.
Sometimes like I don't play with a lot of US dollar pairs during NFP week. I just don't, only because I've lost enough to be taught a lesson that I never want to be taught again. So, so if there's a lot of news, I write that down too. So come Monday evening or Tuesday morning, my time, which is, US time, Mountain Standard Time, then I will enter my trades. I'll pick the ones that have the most amount of confirmations. So for instance, if I were to look at this one, like Pat went over, I think he talked about that. I did jump on this morning because I went to go get a coffee. We have a clean crossover of the ADX, that's 1. We broke the 0 line of the ADX is 2. Not ADX, sorry, those are MACD. Crossover on the ADX is 3 confirmations. 3 more arrows is 6. Buy sell line is 7. Money tree line is 8. In this case, I would count this momentum candle as a 9th confirmation, right? You can use other things. You can use the currency strength meter. You can use RSI. You can even get super simple and draw a trend line. So when it breaks the trend line and retests it, right? Because you got to think I wouldn't have seen this yet, right? So we have to pretend like I didn't see that yet. So for my swing trade method, if I had drawn a trend line and it broke this, that would be my 10th confirmation, right? Or maybe it broke the 50, so that would be my 10th confirmation. It broke it and retested it. So now I have so let's say 10 out of 13 confirmations. I'm going to take this trade. I'm going to stack it 2 times. That's what I'm currently doing. I was stacking it 4 times, but it's harder to manage. So
what do you mean stack it?
Stack it means I'll take 2 entries.
Okay, at the same time.
Yes. So one of them will have a take profit of half of the ADR, or I can just kind of look left and I can see the price kind of stalled out here. It stalled out here. Look for kind of some support and resistance a little bit. It's not rocket science. It doesn't take a whole bunch of information, but you can kind of look left to decide. Okay.
Okay, what would be your first take profit position?
My first take profit will be half of the average daily range, give or take 20 to 30 pips.
Okay.
That lot size is larger.
Okay.
And then I have another one that I place at the same time, and I will let that one run. And that's what I do. So some of the trades that I'm still in from this week, I technically entered last week, right? Because they're still running. So your first few weeks, you're not going to necessarily hit that 500 or 1,000 pip goal. But by the second and third week, you're going to start hitting that weekly pip goal. So for this strategy, I use my weekly compound sheet. I decide what percentage I'm going for based off of how many pips. Some of the rules that I have are same as that rule sheet, and that's don't be in more than 4 to 5 trades at a time. Don't be in too many of the same currency pair. And you're just looking for a handful of setups, okay? Some of them will hit your stop loss. I still get stop losses. That's fine. But at the end of the week, especially in that account, that is the most stress-free, easy thing ever, because you're just taking a couple of trades. I have not been using a trailing stop only because my AEFX on my VPS for some reason isn't allowing me to use a trailing stop. For that broker first. I don't know why, but other than that, I would be using a trailing stop, and it's like super easy. So like the next day, if you're in profit, you drop your stop loss into profit. You never, ever willingly hand back money to the market because you can always get back in, but you can't unlose that money. Okay.
So it's basically triple arrow on hour one and the confirmation.
It needs to be in the same direction as the 4 hour. I don't take trades against the 4 hour.
Yeah.
I need to have enough confirmations as per whatever indicators I'm using.
Right. You got very few. I have too many indicators.
I apologize, I didn't hear you.
Well, I have too many indicators on mine. I need to reduce some.
Well, if you have too many, then you should be too right.
Yeah,
if you're honestly experiencing too many, then you should be too right now.
Yeah, but actually I'm not following my own rules. And I went with the triple arrow and I went with the support there. So I thought maybe I'll just take that. Forget about it. It wasn't a very big stop loss.
Which is great. Well, it depends on that's why we made the rules together. So you guys have one of my little rule sheets that's super old. It's in the group. Then you have another one that we made that's very, very all-inclusive, and we made it as a group. But here's the thing. I'm not willing to lose a small amount of pips, okay? I'm not willing to just do that. I'm willing to trade in a way that I don't have to take a lot of losses.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends, because right now, if you're only trading a 0.01 or 0.5 even, so $5 per pip, that's not too stressful. But if you guys seriously want to compound, you have to get really serious about your rules and your work here. Because when you have a lot of standards on one pair, that is a lot of money for just a few pips, life-changing amounts of money.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know, but that is all I do. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, I hope I can do that.
I'm sorry?
I said, I hope I can do that.
You can. You totally can. So take the information you just wrote down, kind of go over your personal strengths and weaknesses, okay? It's really, really simple. Create a set of rules. Pick a few trades every week, or maybe pick some on Monday and then look again on Tuesday evening. You can look again on Wednesday morning or whatever. I usually don't trade too heavily on Thursday or Friday for that account because it's just there's so much news. So I would rather wait till the following week.
What bothers me the most is when to enter, and I can't wait, and I get trigger happy.
So guys, if you're looking at the 4 hour chart, well, this is the wrong one. If you're looking at the 4 hour chart, okay, and this one's a very, very slow mover. So let's go to a faster mover. Let's see, just for conversational purposes. If you're looking at the 4 hour chart like this, you have plenty of time to catch this move. So the triple arrows probably appeared, probably repainted, whatever. So here's one bullish candle, right? Oh, sorry, bearish, I apologize. Let me go back. So one bearish candle, then you have this big kind of what we call that engulfing candle, right? Because the body is bigger than this body.
Yes.
Okay, so now you have all this time to see this trade.
Correct.
This is days.
Yes.
People are they're not understanding that. So this is the 31st. It didn't really break the 50th ground. This is the 4 hour.
Where to enter this?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Where would you enter this trade?
Well, so again, if I saw this here,
right.
Hindsight's 2020, but I don't know when I saw this. Okay. So let's pretend that I saw this.
You saw the triple arrow.
Sorry, I moved my chart. What did I do? Let's go back to the 4 hour. Hold on. I clicked on a different time frame, so I want to give you a good answer. Let it load real quick. It's thinking about it, responding. Okay, so pretending that, again, because I don't know what day that was, I'm not going to pretend that I know. Let's say this is what I saw. I was pretending I can't see anything over here. I saw a couple of arrows, right? I saw the money tree string line turn green, right?
Right.
So this is my line. If I click down to the 1 hour time frame, okay, let's see. I would want enough confirmations to line up. And basically, I had enough confirmation. So I had my triple arrows. I had my ADX crossing over. This is a little choppy, but again, hindsight's 2020. So pretending like you can't see any of this, I would have seen the green going up, and I would have seen the momentum going up. We had a clean crossover and a break of the 50. Because I'll count that as just as important as a break of this 0 line. To me, that's just as important.
Yeah, actually, you won't even wait for the triple arrow on the 4 hour. Once you saw the big arrow on the 4 hour, you'll wait for the triple arrow on the 1 hour.
Yeah, I'd wait for this. I would get in somewhere around here.
Right.
I don't even care about this arrow either.
I see.
Like, because this is enough confirmation. But like once you guys learn how to some basic reading of charts, this is a nice slant. Well, I don't know what Pat calls it, but going from that there we go.
Okay.
So there's one trend line.
Right.
It broke the trend line.
Right.
And even if we take this high, which we would not have taken this high,
Yeah.
and have 2 touches. So this would be a touch. Okay. And it kind of touched a little bit here and again here for this other one. It broke that. Okay, it broke the trend line.
So,
Do you see that?
You take it immediately after it breaks it, or you wait for it to come back down?
It doesn't always come back. I mean, sometimes it does, so this will be drawdown or a bit close to break even. Right. What typically would happen with my trading style is if I entered somewhere in here, let's take not a perfect entry. So this was 30-ish pips. Depending on, especially if I'm on this broker, I would always have a trailing stop. But for some reason, my trailing stop isn't working on this platform. But it would have knocked me out. So I would have knocked out with a few pips, give or take. Because this is 6 pips. This is 12. So I would have got knocked out at break even. And when I saw that it busted back through and it had 2 more arrows, again, we had enough confirmation depending on what tools you have on your chart.
Right. Okay.
This is all pretending like we see this, but even some of us who probably need more of a life than what we have, we're not going to see this all the time. Right. So either way, I would have caught my 30 pips. And if worst case, I would have gotten back in. Worst case, when I saw this, I would have gotten back in. Okay? I would have gotten back in when this 4-hour deal happened and it broke the 50, I'd get back in. That's just what I would do. But you just need enough rules and confirmation that makes sense and your mind and your eyes can see, that's all.
What is the size of your trailing stop?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
What trailing stop, what size do you put on? Or the hour one?
So I made a video actually about that per the request of one of the beautiful ladies on the team, and I'm going to post it. So essentially, you need your trailing stop to be smaller, okay, than your take profit. So if your take profit, for example, is 50 pips, you would want your trailing stop to be somewhere smaller than that. Essentially what it will do is if price comes really close but then turns around, it'll lock in that many amount of pips. So I can't answer that because I don't know what pair you're trading. I don't know what time frame you're trading on. I don't know what your strategy is.
So let's say hour 1 hour.
Okay, but again, I should not. So go for 20 or 30 pips. But 20 or 30 pips may not be enough room on a GBP pair, and it may be way too much room on another pair. It's way too much for odd USD. Okay. Odd USD moves very slow. So see, that's half as big. Okay. So you'd want it to be smaller. So when I say learn the weekly average daily range per pair.
So half of that, half of the ADR?
Half of the ADR is my take profit, so that wouldn't make sense as a trailing stop.
And half of that trailing stop to be half of the half ADR, 1/4.
1/4, yeah, you could do that. Well, depending on what broker you're using, because there's also spreads. That's a very, very, very vague question. And so if you're going off of the 4-hour chart and you're looking to swing for a few hundred pips, you can easily do a 40 pip trailing stop, even on the slower movers. If you're going off of the 1 hour and you're only going for 100 pips, you can do a 20 pip trailing stop.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll learn down the line.
Does that answer your questions?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Peekaboo.
Hi, Jenny.
Hey, who's this?
This is Don.
John, how are you?
All right. Jenny, on the trailing stops,
Mm-hmm.
when you calculate the trailing stop, do you consider the original stop loss? Say like if you have your stop and it's 20 pips behind the support. When you do the trailing stop, and you want a 20 pips trailing stop, do you make it 40 or do you make it to 20? The reason I'm asking is I had my trailing stop on the odd CAD at 20, I think at 25, and I noticed it moved till like maybe about $1 and some change into profit, but I didn't want it to move that quick.
Well, what strategy were you using though?
Well, actually, I want to try to take this for a swing or a Stabmaster on this odd CAD.
Well, yeah, so I got knocked out of GBP CAD, for example. I was in that since last week, and I was in drawdown, but my trailing stop was too tight, so it knocked me out, right?
Right.
So I missed the majority of that move. But that's the price you pay. So you've got, if you have the time to check your charts, you can always move your stop into profit and then just see how far it can run. But that's, again, I can't really answer that question for you or for anybody because there's so many variables. If you're trading a high leverage brokerage like this one, your spread's going to be a little higher. So you need to be mindful of that because see, your spread alone will knock you out.
Oh, okay. No, I think my original question is, I'm understanding the trailing stops, but I guess what I'm getting at is when I actually trail the stop, I'm not considering the original stop being like maybe 20 pips away. And then when it goes 20 pips, I'm only like, 2 or 3 pips, maybe 5 pips in the profit, but the stop moves. You see what I'm saying? Like it's just from where the stop is, I'm 20, it's already 20 pips behind the support. If I put a 25 pip trailing stop in and it moves
30 pips.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Should I use a larger trailing stop to keep it from moving so fast? I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yes, much larger.
Okay.
So if you're swing trading, you need it to be larger because you see this is not a fast mover. So again, let's not use the best example. Let's use the regular example. This is a huge uptrend. Let's say we waited for the break of the 50. So for this pair, that's 160 pips. That's a lot. But the pullback on this one, again, not a huge pullback, but this is 30 pips. So you would need it to be greater than that. A pullback on this spot, 32. And again, it's not even the biggest one. So if you're trying to catch the whole move, you would need a bigger one. This one's 51.
Right. I see what you're saying now. Right.
Which means your stop loss would have to be like, 60 pips, and that's on a slow mover.
Right.
Just to show you this particular move. So not going to hunt for the perfect example, but just to show you the real in the market, that's what it comes down to.
Okay. I'm splitting the average weekly range in half and using that as a trailer, but it's not that big on the odd CAD. So I see what you're saying though. Just taking a quick measurement like that, that seems to be a better route to go.
Well, yeah, but that's not a perfect example. That could be news. That's just showing you that but the thing is, the purpose of the trailing stop is to knock you out. So don't be afraid of that.
Right.
Let's say this is a downtrending market, right?
Right.
Let's just say that that's what this is doing. We kind of are consolidating in the higher time frames, but let's pretend this is a downtrending market and we're buying the pullback. So we could be buying it to the 31.8, probably around there, right? That's a Fibonacci, sacred number. We could be buying it to the 50%, again, a Fibonacci sacred number, or even to the 61.8, okay? But what if that's all it goes? Which actually that makes a lot of sense on this trade because that 61.8 would be probably right there, give or take. Really good support. So what if it only goes 120 pips? And let's say you have an 80 pip trailing stop. By making it bigger, you're sacrificing more.
Right.
So the way your mind is thinking about it right now, I understand that, and I thought about it that way for a long time, is well, if I just make it bigger, I won't get knocked out. True, but that also means it means ready. So let's say, I don't know how to explain that very well. But yeah, so if you had a 60 pip, you would not have been knocked out here. But you would have ended up losing more than that. So let's say you got in here. This went 160 pips. It would have to retrace by 60 pips, right?
Right.
So you would get
I
out
would get
here.
back that whole 60.
No, wait. So you'd get out down here, right?
Right.
You would have given back 60 pips of profit. So let's not forget that part of it. But
Right.
you also wasted, and this is my mentality of it, this is 3 days you were stuck in that trade that you could have been making money on other things.
Right. I see that now.
So that depends on how you look at it. I would still have a tighter trailing stop.
Right. Okay.
That's
Thank
the number you're willing to risk and forfeit. Think about it that way.
Okay.
In order to have a safe trade.
Right. Okay, Jenny, thank you.
You are welcome. All right, next question. Peekaboo.
Hey guys,
Hey, who's this?
Edward.
Hey, Edward, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Fantastic.
So I think I made a mistake. I got in
Talk about it.
with JPY,
Which one?
with JPY, CHF, JPY. I got in for a sell on the 4 hour.
Are you upside down or did it close in negative?
Well, I'm still upside down.
When did you get in?
Maybe like an hour ago, give or take.
But why did you get in? Oh, wait. This isn't the right
you
cover.
on ADCAD.
It didn't drag and drop. There we go. Okay, so that doesn't look bad. Why do you think you made a mistake?
Well, because I mean it's pulling back pretty hard, and the dots are there. Should I close it or just keep letting it go?
Well, if you're trading from the 4 hour, your job is to keep going.
Okay, because it did go in profit for a little bit, but I didn't close it or nothing.
Okay, so wait, how long ago did you get in?
Maybe like the candle before that, give or take. It was like a couple hours ago, 2 or 3 hours ago, maybe 4 hours ago.
Let's just assume somewhere around there. Our best guess, right?
Yeah.
Put on the 1 hour. Let's see. It actually looks like a pretty good entry in general.
Well, I mean, it did have an up, like an arrow to go down, but then it went away and came back.
So here's our down candle, right? It broke
Wait,
the
no, never
50.
mind. That was a different pair. That was a different pair. My bad. It's good. Never mind.
Okay. So let's assume you got in somewhere around here. You broke the 50. You retested it. Everything's kind of looking good. The seller's line is a little choppy, but on the ADX, what we're really paying attention to is what the buyer's line is doing. And this is still staying down. You broke the 50. So could you have another pullback? Yeah, you could. It's part of swing trading. But, I mean, it looks like a good trade. I don't know what do you have a currency strength meter? What is
Yeah, I do. And JPY was stronger than Swiss for a little bit, but Swiss is coming back. So it probably is going to go back up and then retest and come back down, like you said.
Yeah, but you're never going to know. So, like, if you got in maybe a slightly better entry, could you have maybe protected some profits? Yeah, this is a super fast mover, but, I mean, you didn't get a bad entry, like, in general, because, let me move this out of the way. You said a few hours ago, so it'd either be this candle or this.
Yeah, it was around there. It was like 2 or 3 hours ago I got in, give or
Well,
take.
they're hour candles, so.
It was around there because they had broke the 50. I knew that.
Okay, and like that looks like a pretty decent entry. It doesn't mean you're not going to face a pullback. And again, the market can still go against you, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you have daily support, broke the 50. We can do the trend line, although I would take the trend line or the break of the 50. I don't necessarily need them both. But let's do this just for the people who are on the call.
I like the 50, and I've also noticed that once you get the triple arrows on the 4 hour, and you go back down to the 1 hour, you already have triple arrows and break over the 50, so it works out pretty good.
It does, yeah. I like it a lot. So somewhere around there, we're breaking that trend line pretty well. So if it comes back up and retests it, great. If it tries to make a complete reversal, that's part of trading. It's not the fun part, but let's see. Wait a minute, CHF has a ton of news though on Thursday. They have interest rate decisions on Thursday, so be mindful of that.
Yeah, I also saw that too. I was thinking if I'm already in profit to move it into profit, my stop loss.
Yeah, always protect your money. Yeah, that's not a bad trade. Like I would be in this trade, but I'm already in another JPY pair, so that's not bad. That's not a bad trade at all. Hold on, what is I'm gonna go to my phone, go to the currency heat wave. Let's see. NZD is still. Oh, thank God, it's stronger. Let's see. CHF is getting stronger. And JPY is tiny on the 15-minute. So, but by the minute, JPY is stronger. So, I mean, you look like this is a pretty good trade. In general, you have enough confirmations that say this is a good sell. If it matches your rules, and it doesn't, that's not going to make you foolproof. The part that gives you the 70 to 80 to 90% accuracy is that whole extra step of moving your stop loss into profit. Because then you're not going to have a lot of times that it hits your stop loss. Because the chances that it reverses, you probably have like a 30% chance of that happening, right? Give or take. I don't know for sure, but that's rounded numbers. So 20 to 30% of it, you being wrong. And of that, if you protect that with always moving your stop loss in, then you can kind of close the gap in your trading, and there you go. So,
Wait,
sorry.
My Wi-Fi is getting pretty slow. It's raining really bad over here, so. Can you hear me?
Yep, sorry.
Oh, okay. What were you saying? I'm sorry. It took me out. I left for like 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Oh, let's see. The last thing I said was 20 to 30. So if this is only going to be inaccurate because you have enough confirmations, right?
Yeah.
So when you have that many things lining up in your favor, you have like a 30% chance. Let's just round it up because you're kind of new, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you have a 30% chance of being wrong. If you can cut that in half, or even just take away a few percent of that by always moving your stop loss into profit whenever you're in profit, that's going to cut down the rest of that like losing ratio to such a small margin that it makes trading larger lot size and compounding way, way easier because your accuracy will be so high.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I mean, last week I grew my account pretty good. I'm doing the spreadsheet also.
That's awesome. Way to go. I think you messaged me that, right?
Yeah, and it's going pretty good. I mean, last week I made profits. This week I'm pretty sure I'm going to make profits. I mean, this is the only trade I've taken so far.
That's because you're being picky. Good job.
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple trades. I'm looking at gold also. I'm waiting for the triple arrows for a sale on the 1 hour.
That's patience. Yeah, a lot of people are waiting for it to retest and then sell off.
Yeah, and that's not basically. And AUD CAD, I was looking at that too, but I did take it because it had a gap, I think.
I liked AUD CAD because of that momentum it had.
Yeah.
That's strong momentum. Because you got to think the size and the body style of the candle has a bigger value when you're on the bigger time frame. So on the bigger time frame, this big engulfing candle, if it would just go to where I want it to go. I mean, this one candle is bigger than the last like 5 or 6. I mean, that's telling you a story. That's a pretty good story. And all these wicks and indecision, see all this wicks and indecision? Like the market will tell you a lot. You have a lot of confirmations when you choose to learn to see it.
Yeah, and I'm also waiting on the green dots in the 1 hour. Have they came in yet? Can you right now?
On the 1 hour?
On AUD CAD, which you were just on.
That's a different strategy. I don't have them on there.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I mean, I use the dots just basically as a support, if that makes sense.
And you have it set to the 4 hour, right?
I do, yeah.
Sweet.
The 4 hour and daily dots. That's what I use.
So no, there's no green dots yet.
Okay. Would that be bad if I wait?
No. But don't. Well, listen, guy, you have a lot of time, okay? So
yeah, I do.
Not that much time. So for you, I'm going to tell you to just wait and be responsible. Like for most of us, I'm going to say, hey, this made. Here, I'll go back to the 4 hour to tell you what I would see like for the average adult with lots of responsibilities. Okay, I got to pick on you there. That's fair. So this big candle is what, 34 pips? Again, not a fast mover, but when you have an engulfing candle, not 100% of the time, but like I think it's in the high 80s, 90% of the time, price will come back down to 50% of that candle before it continues the direction. So 50%, price already came down to 50% of this engulfing candle. So if you're asking Jenny, like even without those green dots, it's a safe enough time to buy right now. Because look what we did. We have this engulfing candle, price came down to 50% of that engulfing candle. It means we're going in the right direction now, okay? It doesn't mean you're not going to have a pullback. It doesn't mean it can't make a double bottom, but just in terms of like trading rules, that's one of those added confirmations that count as part of your checklist. An engulfing candle. So
Yeah. And what about news? That red line is news, right?
yeah, that's odd. That's an employment change. I don't know if that has a huge impact or not. Like I said, I'm in this pair because this one had enough confirmations for me. So, but I got in earlier, so I might put another entry in here on a different account. But yeah,
I was gonna get in this morning, but I mean I didn't just because of the gap. It has a gap somewhere, right? Doesn't it?
depends on the broker. So if you ever want to confirm a gap, go to TradingView. Pick brokers that you don't have to make sure that other brokers have them too.
Oh, okay. Trading you said?
Or go to a different broker basically. So just in case, because like there's still some gaps showing up on one broker that's not on another. So gold is still showing a huge gap on Hugo's way, but it's not on either.
The dollar also has a gap, right?
I'm sorry?
The peso, the euro MXN has
Oh my
a gap.
gosh. Yeah. So this one, in my live account, as you guys know, I sold it. So I ended up doing really well because I sold it up here, made a ton of money. It kind of retraced because I closed on a lot of them. This is a demo account. I think I entered this on the live call we were on last week.
Yeah, it was Thursday you did that.
Yeah.
I think.
But either way, so like when it opened with this gap, the entries that I did have were a lot of pips in profit because they were, give or take, yeah, they were crazy amount of pips in profit. They were a lot.
Yeah.
But supposedly this has to fill. There's still a GJ gap that's out there. It's summertime, guys, so who knows what the market's going to do. But, yep, it's got a huge gap. So, not bad at all. I would put like a buy limit right up here. Oh, sorry, a sell limit.
What does that mean exactly?
That means like a pending order. So,
You don't have to do it. Oh, yeah, it's a demo account. My bad.
yeah, it's a demo account. So now I'm going to do it again. So, well, this isn't a live thing anyways. This is a pending order. So when price comes back up here and touches this part, it's going to resell down.
Oh, okay. And did that like stay there forever until you basically close it out, or did it just
Yeah, you'd
disappear
have to
after a while?
delete it. So, like if I went here, see this pending order right here, sell limit?
Yeah.
I would have to right click and either modify or delete it and delete. Or of course I could buy back up. I may as well close this trade because it's definitely got to retrace at some point. So, yeah.
Okay.
Not bad though.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm learning still. It's getting better though. I'm not.
Patience.
Yeah, I'm being pretty picky now.
Awesome. That'll work.
Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I'm just gonna hold it.
Jenny,
Hey, who's this?
this is Jay.
Hey, Jay. How are you?
How are you?
Fantastic. Do you have a
Good.
question?
Hey, yeah. You know, Jenny, when you were talking about you could take $200 and turn it into 5 figures, I was like, come on now. But ever since I hit that 17K mark for today's trading, I'm starting to believe it. But I just want you to talk about a little bit on your experience in taking a small account and turning it into a bigger account like that.
Okay. Trade management. That's it. That's literally the key to all of it. Hold on real quick. Let's see. Okay. Like trade management. Sorry, I went to the top of the door. It's getting windy. So trade management is really going to be the key. So right now we're on the odd cal. We have that flip-flop strategy up. You can use it however you guys deem worthy. There are a couple people who have turned their account into they started with one of them started with $200 and they're already at I think the last time I talked to him, he was at $1,300 and that was in 4 trading days altogether. So that's a lot of percentage in gain. It's super not hard, and that was not very many days. So all you're doing is you're making sure you have the perfect entry. So you can take the slower entry, or the faster entry more accurately. Yeah, let's find one. So the faster entry would be the whole overbought, oversold kind of mentality. if it will let me do exactly what I want it to do. You could take the cross of the 8 and 18, so going over the flip-flop, because somebody had asked that in the chat. So you have your parabolic stars crossed over, right? You have a crossover on your MACD, and I'm sure if we added in here the stochastic, you guys can put on here as many or as little things as you guys think that is going to help you. But there's 2 entries on every one of these trades. You guys have to decide which one your eye see best, how many you can handle on your charts or on your phone. I can show you a way to create an alert for this. Pretty accurate, actually, pretty awesome. So right now, according to the flip-flop, I'd be selling this. Not on this broker with this spread, but I would sell this for 10 pips because it broke the 50, right? Just 10 pips. That's it. Just 10 pips. Because there's 2 entries here. So the person who wants me to go over the flip-flop method, give or take, let's try to find the best spot. So we have our parabolic stars are flipped. We have a crossing of our 2 moving averages, our 8 and 18. Momentum is facing up, and we're getting a clean crossover here. I'll even go the next candle over. You have a crossover on your MACD and a crossover on your whatever stochastic, and of course you're breaking the 50 in the RSI, right? So this is one entry. You would take it for 10 pips or to the 50 moving average. In this case, the 50 is not enough, so you'd have to keep going. You would have already hit it. But this is the higher risk, less accurate strategy. This one is. But it depends on what you consider risk, because your stop loss would be here. So taking the faster entry means a tighter stop, but it's also less accurate over time. I would take the one that closed below. This candle actually closed below the 50. So I would have entered it on this next candle. Or if I saw it was still pulling back, I might wait for the next bearish candle. So me, I'd probably end up catching this one when it turned purple. No idea when that would have been. But then we'd be taking it for 10 pips. That's it. These are the 2 entries you'd be looking for. And if you compound, like that, the guy who asked, or sorry, JC, about being able to grow a small account for a few $100 to, let's just say, 10,000. There's a lot of people, they can't wrap their mind around 6 figures. Like maybe they're only making 30, 40,000 a year. Maybe they just had a different upbringing. You know, like we all dream about big things, but if you've never actually accomplished 6 figures in a month, it's really hard to believe that it's possible. Like for most people, it's still just a pipe dream. It's a maybe, could be, maybe might happen. Or somebody I know did it, but they live in Mexico and I don't really know if it's possible. Or, you know, John down the street did it, but he only uses, he already had 50,000 to trade with, right? But when I tell you that this is possible for somebody with a couple $100, really, really good rules in a matter of weeks, I mean it. Like I've worked with a lot of other people who've done it. I've done it myself. The odds that you're going to get 35 winning trades with no losses is pretty slim, because most of you aren't like super experienced. I've only gotten 35 trades with no losses when I did those challenges one time, and that was sheer luck and a whole bunch of God. But in general, even if you have a loss, you would just start over at the previous day's lot size or so you kind of look at the compound sheet and say, okay, this is the lot size you're supposed to have for this account balance. So if your account balance is here, use that lot size. But you'll also notice, like especially if you're scalping, you can stay in this trade. So let's take this trade, for example. Whatever. Yeah, we'll take this trade. So you can stay in this trade until it closes below the 8 moving average. So technically, if you got in somewhere around here, pulled back, handful of pips, you got your 10 pips here, but you could stay in this trade for as long, like if you had the time to actually watch it, until it actually comes back and starts touching or closing below the moving average, the 8. So instead of getting 10 pips on this trade, you would have gotten 20. Minus spread, that's actually 30, but I'm trying to be conservative. Does that answer that question?
Yes, Jenny, thank you so much. Like I said, you know, what you just said is absolutely correct. And that is, a lot of times people such as myself couldn't really wrap their heads around those kind of profits. But after today, I'm starting to believe it more and more.
Well, look, so like if you guys just compound, so a lot of you, like you have this $400 account, you make a 50 bucks, you blow 50 bucks, now you're at 200 bucks, you make your 20, you lose 20, but like you don't have any consistent set of rules for take profit, stop loss, or really anything. So now you've got this account that's kind of going nowhere. But if you set like a small amount of pips, if you are only looking for 1 to 2 trades at a time, like so like what I was saying about the faster entry, it depends on what you consider risk. The faster entry has a tighter stop loss. So this stop loss would only be, 9 pips plus spread, whereas this stop loss, okay, would be 15 pips plus 15 pips plus spread. It's totally doable. So you guys can watch this live on camera, and it'll go down probably 10 pips. Worst case, you moved your stop into profit, because again, that's what's going to give you that higher level of accuracy. Because even if it comes back and touches your stop and profit, then all you have to do is look for another trade. That's fine. That's easy to do on the smaller time frames. That's too easy. But don't willingly give back money. Like, so once you're in profit, don't willingly give it back.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
You are welcome. Let me see the chat. I have to leave the VPS to see the chat for some reason today. It's funny how it's never consistent.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, who's this?
This is DJ.
Hey, DJ.
Hey, so on this strategy for the 10 pips, is it are you required to do this during like the London session and the New York session, or can you just do it any time of the day?
I mean, technically you could do it during Asian, but you have to remember Asian session has the least amount of volatility, so it's going to take the longest amount of time to hit your move, right? And you're going to want to primarily trade pairs that are, moving during Asian sessions, such as JPY, AUD, New Zealand, those things. Like, because at least they're going to be moving. If you try to pick like just a GBP USD pair where neither of them are in session and you're hoping for it to move enough during Asia, you're probably going to get stuck in some false move.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to confirm. So you're saying during the Asian session, JPY, AUD, and New Zealand's are the ones that move a lot?
Well, what countries are open during the Asian Tokyo session? Like what countries are open during that session? Do you know?
No, I don't. I don't.
Okay. So the Tokyo Asian session and Sydney, let's not forget that. That's all what we consider to be the Asian trading session. The countries that are, in trading hours or business hours are Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. Like those are the heaviest movers during the Asian session.
Okay, so I see what you're saying now. That makes sense why they would move them.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You are welcome. NGD's finally moving, NGD USD.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, how are you?
Fantastic. And yourself?
Pretty good. I'm driving right now, and I'm just listening. Is there any way you can go over your settings for your 10-tip flip? Because I know I was watching your video earlier, you and Urban, and you guys have 2 different settings on your EMAs and your SMAs.
We do. So I think he's kind of gotten in line, and I can confirm that with him, like in terms of using the EMAs. So like a lot of us use a lot of different EMAs, and Irving is a great trader. So he has some of his favorites. But I think for this method at this point, he is using the 50 EMA. He is using the RSI set at 10 and not 14 anymore. He's still using the same stochastic at the 36, 9, and 18. And I don't think he has MACD on this one at all. Because if you guys can see, the MACD kind of tells us the same thing that the RSI tells us. It just tells us in a different way. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, I tried it earlier. Well, it was bad timing. I tried it at the end of the day consolidation, just to see what would happen. And I'm on a demo account, so it's okay. But yeah, I went back and I looked at the videos and I was like, okay, well maybe there's a problem with my settings. So I just wanted to confirm it.
Yeah, no, you're good then. So just, it's 50 EMA, okay? And then let's see. So you can put on other EMAs. There's a gentleman I know, he uses some really weird ones, but it works for him. So, but he still uses the 50 as the primary focus. And then there's, let's see, it's really strange. The 8 and 18, those are both EMAs. ADX set at 10 and RSI set at 10. And Stochastic are set at Pat Stochastic. So.
Okay. And also, I noticed you struggle with your trend lines. If you want to change that, you just draw a trend line and right-click on the trend line and go into parameters and the checkbox for Ray, uncheck it, and you can draw your trend line.
Look at that. I learned that last week. I think that maybe you or somebody else in the group taught me that. So now I have a real trend line.
Yeah.
That stinking Ray, man. That Ray is no fun.
Yeah, that was me.
See, that was you. Thank you. That's like a life-changingly different. That is so different. That Ray is just like a clock. It goes around and around for no good reason.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Any other major questions? I mean, that's kind of the idea is you're just voting news, okay? So you want to wait till after the news passes by at least 30 minutes or something. Doesn't have to be a lot because you're only going for 10 pips. You have the option of 2 entries using any of these indicators on these settings, okay? RSI and MACD pretty much tell the same story. As you guys can see, this is floating around the 0 line, floating around the 0 line. It kind of comes down. So the RSI tells you a little bit clearer if you're asking me. But still it depends on what your eyes like. Plus this is available on your phone, whereas this is not. So this would be your setup on your phone. And it is too easy. Way too easy. Are there any questions in strategy?
Hey Jenny, it's Donna.
Hey Donna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. Let's see.
Good. So on this strategy, you can do this on your computer too, right? It doesn't just have to be on your phone.
No, it's still better on your phone. I mean, on your computer, because on your computer you can put more stuff. You can do more. You can see more. So you can do it on your computer.
Okay. Okay, and then so your stop loss, you said, would be, so if it's a sell, it would be the first set of the SARs.
Yep, that's right. So that's why, like, it depends on what you consider high risk or whatever, because the faster entry is going to give you a tighter stop, and that's a plus, right? A tighter stop is great. However, like all it could do, so if there's a big difference in between like that spot where everything else lined up, but it didn't break the 50, it might be worth writing it down to the 50 because then your stop is tighter. But otherwise, I'd rather have it break the 50, personally. And Euro USD has been playing games all day. I think I know a couple people got stuck in these trades. But if you're trading in the same direction as the daily dots, I'm pretty sure I have this 4 hour, but I can find out live on camera. Nope, at 1 day. But if you're trading in the direction as the dots, okay? Let's see. We can make them 4 hour even. Then you're going to be a lot more accurate. So, like, don't trade against it. Trade in the direction of the most recent daily dots. It doesn't mean, like, so if you're doing it from your phone, you can still have a lot of accuracy. If you got in somewhere around here, did you get your 10 pips? Yeah, you did. So you'll still have a lot of accuracy, but it's just your safest move is the one that's in the same direction as your 4 hour dots.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
You are welcome. Did you have any other questions about this strategy?
No, you went through, when you went through it, you answered questions that I had already. So that was it.
Okay, awesome, really. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. Any other questions?
Jenny, I have one.
Hey, Edward. How's it going?
Pretty good. Do you avoid all red news, or is there any news that's red that you're like okay with?
I don't know enough to answer that question. So my understanding, which again could be inaccurate in all fairness, is that supposedly only certain red folder news has an impact, which has some truth to it, I'm assuming. But since I don't know which ones are which, and that's a whole bunch of information to learn, I just avoid red folder news.
Oh, okay.
So like, for instance, the US dollar has crude inventory, which may or may not barely even affect the US dollar. But this one will affect the Canadian dollar. I know interest rates are supposedly pretty big deals. Anything to do with like elections, pretty big deals. I don't really think the retail sales does much. But like the core one could. But I am so not an economicist, or however you say that word, economic person.
Yeah.
Economic expert, that's the word. So I don't know. I just avoid the red ones because there's enough other ones. Like sometimes even the orange or yellows can make like a big dent. So I used to avoid the red ones. Except for swing trades. I mean, if there's a whole bunch of a swing trade that I want to take, there's a bunch of red folder news for that pair. I just, I'll kind of look at other things. Worst case scenario. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody else have any other questions? It's like in terms of the flip-flop strategy, guys, here's an example. You have daily dots, okay? Well, this was also a 4-hour dot, okay? But you have the crossover of the 8 and 18, parabolic stars, which are set to 5, okay? Actually, of course, they're set to 4 on this one. 0.05. Sorry, I was redoing this broker because I was trying to figure out why my trailing stop isn't working on this platform. But anyways, so you have that confirmation. Then, of course, you have your ADX facing up, but the momentum's not quite as great as you want it. But you do have the stochastic overbought, oversold, and a nice looking crossover, and you broke the 50. So in this set of rules, so you'd have 1 confirmation, 2, I guess you could count this as 3, but I'd want the momentum facing up to count the other one. And you have 4, 5, 6 with the daily 4-hour dots. So you have 6 out of like 8 confirmations, right? And you're just looking for 10 pips. That's all you're looking for, just 10 pips. So on this one, this entry, your stop loss would be tighter, but this entry is going to be a lot less accurate. There's a high probability that this could just pull back to the 50 somewhere, playing around this area, and then retrace. So like in this case, since this was more than 10 pips to the 50, again, give or take wherever that candle was, it might be worth taking it. If not, just have a really tight stop, kind of moving into profit. Otherwise, you want to wait for a momentum break of the 50, and then you know for sure you're getting your 10 pips. Like the accuracy on this is insanely high. Insanely high. If you follow the rules. So if your accuracy is not as high as it should be, then it's because you're not following enough rules.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey.
Hey, so this is Edward, also from North Carolina. How you doing?
Fantastic. North Carolina is beautiful out there.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's been 70 degrees all week.
Nice.
But, question about the 50.
Mm-hmm.
So the 50 works really good for any time frame?
So 50 is kind of like everyone has their go-to stuff. So 50 is my go-to stuff. Let's put it that way. So basically, like even on this strategy, or here, watch this. The 50 works on every time frame. New chart window. The banks use the 50. So right now we're on the 4-hour. We'll wait for it to catch up. There's always going to be consolidation. You can't avoid this. This is real life. This is whatever. Chop it up to be whatever you want. But when it breaks the 50, even on the 4-hour, it usually moves. It'll come back and retest it. It'll respect it in a different way. It does the same thing with like the 100 and other things, but it does it in a different way here. So we have consolidation. You can tell that it doesn't make any like direct moves. But when it breaks the 50, now we have a confirmed downtrend from, let's see, the 18th to 26th. So good, whatever, almost not quite 2 trading weeks. but it comes back and retests it. So is the 50 worth looking at? I'd say yes, and the biggest reason why isn't because I'm saying yes, it's because the banks use the 50 to trade. The 50 moving average is the most commonly moving average where all the big money goes, and since we're just the little money, we need to be able to know what they're doing to go with it. Our money isn't going to, even if all of us are billionaires, our money isn't going to even make a dent to Wells Fargo. Whoever is yawning, like seriously? Who's that person yawning?
For real, Jenny, I was thinking the same thing. It's
like,
not me, but I was thinking the same thing. I wish they mute
I
themselves.
was thinking the same thing also.
I'm like, hello. I know I talk a lot, but I'm not here for me. So you know. Okay.
Jenny, you always make me laugh.
Can I add something about the 50?
Yeah, go ahead.
All
Please
right,
do.
well, the 50 bounce trade is one of the best trades you ever know on the 15-minute, the hour chart, the 4-hour chart. The 50 is one you want to pay attention to. I have mastered the 50 bounce. I don't know if y'all have heard of that. It bounces off that 50 like crazy, and she's right. The banks use it. What it is, they trap through EMA. So you trap through EMA so many pips to get breakouts. You know, there's breakout buyers, sellers, whatever. They trap through the EMAs constantly, but the 50 is the most important EMA to me. It hooks up on the all charts, like 4-hour, 13.15, or 5.13. 13 is the 50 on the 4-hour. You know, 15-minute, you got 50, right, on the 15-minute.
Yep.
So on the 4-hour, that's the 13. On the hour, I don't remember what it is, but all the EMAs work out. But the 50 is the most prominent EMA in my consideration.
When you're talking about the 50 bounce, you're talking about the money market maker method, right? Where it kind of comes down, it rejects the 50 and doesn't break it, so you buy it up for 10 pips, right?
Or sell, yes, ma'am.
If it breaks it, the bounce means it did not break it and it keeps going with the trend, right? Or do you want it to break and then also take it for 10 pips?
I want it to trap through the 50 line and go with the trend. You get like a W or M, some kind of, any
Like
kind of anchor. Like right here, I'm seeing a big W, and it broke. That really wouldn't be a 50 bounce because it broke through the 50 too much, I think. But a lot of times you'll notice they'll do a W, and then it'll break through and trap through the 50 line and run up. Usually the 1 hour is the best to use. In my opinion, like 15-minute 50 is a nice trade. I don't know. I've been trading that for so long. It's like a bread and butter trade, the 50 pounds.
Well, so yes, I mean, that's one way. So what he's talking about, like everyone has so many different ways, but that's the same concept is on the 50, when it breaks the 50, the odds of you getting 10 pips on almost any pair, especially with enough confirmations. So like on this, you obviously didn't get 20 pips or 10 pips, but like depending on what confirmations were here, we can go back to our actual chart.
On that one, I did see a trap through. It did a W, then it does like a V pattern up right there on that one chart you were just on.
So that was this really ugly move here.
See how it did it? That I wouldn't consider that 50 bounce because it went too far past the 50, but it did a W, and it did a safety kind of deal right there. That's the anchor way back, but it did a W, then it did a. That wouldn't be considered a 50 bounce, I don't think, way over here.
No. But what I'm saying is, like, if you're using it according to the strategy, so like I was saying, it retests the trend line. If it retests the 50, or what you guys call the 50 bounce, the odds of getting 10 pips is pretty high. This doesn't really count as a breakthrough because if you're measuring it with our strategy, I mean, there's too many other things that kind of, it would have went in your favor. It just would have taken some time.
Well, we always call it 50 for 50 pips. If it bounces off the 50 EMA, it's good for 50 pips, even on the 15-minute, especially on the GA, any of the
well, sure, on the GBP pairs.
Yeah, any of the 100-plus pairs, 100-plus ADR pairs, 50 for 50 is a good trade. You'll definitely get 10 pips.
You realize there's only one pair that's 100-plus right now, right?
Oh, well, it's slow. It's the summertime. Everybody's on vacation in Europe.
Exactly. Everyone's vacationing. So all these ADRs are slacking. They're slacking. Yep, yes, sir. But thank you for that info. I mean, yeah, the 50 is something really worth applying to whatever strategy you're using. It's totally worth it. Because the idea that it stays on there, or to use his mentality, the 50 bounce, this broke through, but this bounced, okay? This, of course, came back up. If it rejects the 50, even on a slow mover, the odds of getting a few pips is pretty high. And it's summertime, so I don't think you're going to get 50 pips out of most of these pairs. But again, half of the ADR, because I'm kind of consistent. The reason why I use half of the ADR and not my own number or not somebody else's number is because this changes with the pair, with the season, and I need to be going with the pair, with the season. So my opinion means nothing if this pair is only moving 20 pips a day this week. So no matter what happened in the last 12 weeks, if the last 4 weeks, we're going down, down, I probably should be going for less pips. So, all right, guys, does that answer most of your questions in terms of the strategy for tonight? Let's see, let me go to my chat. What ADR?
Yes, Jenny, thank you so much.
You are welcome. Hey, the ADR I use is called Bar Alert. It is in the notification channel. Hey, guys, I love you to death, but you've got to get really good at kind of searching these channels, because the more times we post these indicators, they're formatted different, they're saved different. So please, please, please go into the group, go into the search, type in Bar Alert, and you will find the indicator to download. Worst case scenario, you can message me, get a ton of messages. So if I miss you, please just message me again. It's because you went to the bottom of some massively long list of people I can't see. So I did make a video on how I use the ADR. Check my YouTube, so that should answer that question. Freddie, I went over the 10 pip flip and even explained the differences in Irving's and my strategy, which again, I'm pretty sure, like we've talked a few times, we created a strategy guide. Well, he did the guide, I did the video, and we're on the same page in terms of how to do it. Both ways work pretty well. One just slightly more accurate statistically speaking, like backtestably speaking, and real life results. And at the end of the day, accuracy means more. So,
hey, Jenny. Hey, Jenny.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Could I ask a quick yes or no question? I don't really want you to elaborate on it because I know we're running out of time. But as far as the US 30, does that apply with the 50 moving average as well?
Oh yeah, the 50 is a big part of my US 30 strategy. Huge part.
Okay.
Huge.
Yeah, I'm just playing around with it in demo, so you don't have to elaborate. I already know the strategy, so I'm just gonna play with it.
You should. It's pretty awesome. Be mindful though that there's a lot of foolery going around with that right now because government nonsense that I definitely don't know enough to talk about intelligently. But US 30, you can get enough pips and get out. And you can do almost a perfect 1-to-1 ratio. Compounding is hard though. Because in order to grow, you have to have, otherwise you're just playing. Growing, you're not an investor. If you're not increasing your capital gains here, then if you're not gaining, you're not investing, you're gambling, you're playing. So compounding is the part you want to really focus on if you want to get to know US 30. Any of us can make money on US 30. But if you can't compound it and grow it, it's no point.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You are welcome. Hey, I'm actually, hey.
It's Jay again. I noticed that on your symbols, it's like color coded, and is there a reason for that?
Yeah, different brokers do it, and some brokers don't. So it's nothing special. Like I don't even know what it means. If you want the truth, each of the U.S. dollar pairs are all the same color, and then the FX crosses are all the same color. And then on some of them, like these are my metals. These are my indices, my gas, or what is those commodities? Yeah.
So it doesn't represent the strength of the particular pair, correct?
No. This is just like what kind of symbol it is.
Oh, I got you.
You'll notice that they're all color coordinated according to these categories.
Oh, I got you. Okay. All right. Thanks, Jenny.
You are welcome. All right, guys, I'm going to get my butt to the gym, go to the steam room, swim some laps. I think it'll be good for me. So other than that, I hope you guys had a great night. We'll get on tomorrow night and have any trades that you guys want to go over, and we'll go from there.
Jenny, quick question.
Yes, sir.
What's your workout routine?
I'm rebuilding it. So it used to be a lot of dance and a lot of like I like body combat. Have you ever heard of that?
Never.
That's awesome. It's kind of aggressive, but it's like so fun.
Will this replay be available right after?
So I use Zoom. No, sir. So what happens is it uploads and then it sends me an email saying it uploaded. And typically, like the next morning, I'll go in and I'll upload it to YouTube and then I'll drop it in the group.
All right, cool. Because I came in like the last 30 minutes, so I definitely want to catch the whole thing.
Okay, I'm sorry, but yeah, I'll get it. We'll post it in the group by tomorrow. I don't promise you guys a time because like I come and go. So
all right, that's cool.
Once it uploads, then I'll upload it in the morning, or maybe if I get a chance when I get home tonight, we'll go from there. So.
Thank you so much, Jenny. We appreciate you.
You are welcome, and I appreciate you guys too. Hey, whoever sent me a private message, I can't read it. So you guys know. All right, cool. But anyways, have a great night, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny.
Good night. Sweet dreams.